Oops. There we go. I have a very large screen. Is that looking okay on your end?
Yep. Yep.
So the program I took is actually right here, Web and Mobile Development Program, Diploma Program. And so if I wanted to look for a web developer, this will give you kind of an idea of the 3-year outlook. It talks about, careers in this job market, so all the different job titles that fall into this particular, what this credential would potentially offer you. There's a number of what they call NOCs, or national occupation codes.
Okay.
So
And what would be the salaries?
Yeah, I didn't get salary data included in this, just with the time frame that I had for the project, which is only a couple of months. This is as far as it got. I've been thinking about taking
That's the
this
important part, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's supposed to be part of your employment, your research into the credential that you're going into. Most of the credentials, students are supposed to kind of compile some information like this to sort of present to the school to say, hey, look, I did a bit of an investigation, and yes, this is the career path that I want to go into. This is the program that I want to undertake. So it's got a lot of data and information. I didn't get any live salary data work into this.
Did you make any money from this?
I was just employed as a co-op student. So I was a web developer for Vancouver Island University's web department.
Okay. Anything else you want to share? Or you can stop sharing.
Sure.
What I'm curious about is, I thought once you go entrepreneur, you never go back to a job. So I'm wondering what happened with your road, because you kind of made a U-turn, right?
Yeah. One of the big reasons that I decided to take up going back to school and basically, committing to becoming somebody's employee for a short time was that I was feeling a lot of burnout. When I built my business, I built it from quite literally nothing. I've never taken bank money, investor money of any kind. It was entirely built from the ground up. I probably had $800 in my bank account when I first started my company. So, and
this was a roofing company
right there. What's that?
This was a roofing company?
It was a roof moss removal company. So you might consider it like a specialty cleaning company or a property maintenance company in Victoria.
Very narrow niche.
Very narrow niche, yeah. Vancouver Island is a very wet climate. It's actually inside of a temperate rainforest. And so there's a lot of moisture and humidity and moss growth. And that growth can deteriorate roof shingles in time. So getting it properly removed is really important. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of companies that do it, but the level of ethical and transparent standards for these companies varies wildly. So the most trustworthy company I saw in the industry was doing it for about $2,500 to $3,500 a home. That was probably their average. And what we might call the fly-by-night companies, guy with a truck and a ladder, he was doing the jobs for about $500. I said, wow, there's a lot of difference in here. And actually, I should step back one. So the way that I discovered this industry, so to speak, I was doing basically contract business management for a number of other small companies in the Victoria region. And someone had bought a course, someone I knew in my network had bought a course on how to sell leads, create websites and sell leads to other small businesses. And he was trying to do that and took up this roof moss removal thing as his business, but he had like a full-time job with a credit union doing credit analysis. Okay. So he didn't necessarily have the time to be the hands-on guy and run the show. He didn't find much success in I think selling the leads at first, so he was trying to accumulating leads, but he didn't have anyone to sell them off to. So he threw a crew of people that he knew together, and they started, basically just running it as a regular company.
I see. So you
And
became a
so,
partner with him, or?
well, we had a bit of a falling out, unfortunately. We had a contract in place and things went sideways. My job, of course, was to get him busier. And the task list in my contract kept growing and growing. And of course, I kept saying, okay, I can do that, but I'm going to need a little bit more money to take those things on, right? And so I got to a point where he was, maybe the leverage was a little bit off. Sorry if you can hear the dog barking there. It's a very excitable animal. So the money that he was paying me was quite significant, I feel, and I think he got to a point where he's realized that he's either got to quit his full-time job and do this full-time, or abandon the business and focus on working full-time. And I think his wife may have had a role to play in that, but I think he kind of tried to opt more to that category. And he did try to kind of step away from running it as a business and just wanted to sell leads. And I think that company eventually did end up just selling leads until eventually he sold that business.
Okay. And how did you start your business? This is what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, so to kind of remediate any kind of breach of the contract, he basically said, take the tools, take the guys, we'll work something out, and make it all worth your while. So that's when I started that business, because you could see there was
no partnership agreement or contract in place.
We did have a contract in place, and that was one of the reasons that we ended up kind of going this route. Like, I could have tried to take him to court and squeeze. I think it was like $11,000 is what we were looking at that point. It didn't really seem worth it to me to try and go down the legal avenue just to get 11 grand out of him. I saw a lot of, I saw how these businesses were working and how much money was really there. And so I decided to pick things up. When I started at probably about $750 of gross profit per home, per day rather. And we grew that to, when I sold it, was probably around $1,250 per day. So per truck per day, the opportunity there is about $1,200, give or take.
Okay. And how many trucks did you have on the road?
My peak, we had two trucks plus myself going around and doing some small work. And the pandemic sort of threw that for a loop. And then after post-pandemic, or the pandemic was really interesting. I very much expected that things were going to just collapse. I was super nervous. I didn't quite qualify for the CEBA benefits. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the CEBA. It's like $40,000 the government was giving to small businesses to help them through. So I didn't even qualify for bailout, basically. But you know what? I'm actually really glad I didn't take it, because we ended up getting busier than we had ever been. It was much, I think, like the car manufacturers and the chips. They immediately thought, we got to cancel all these orders that we have, because there's no way we're going to sell all this product. We got to just shut things down. And then sure enough, spending carried on as normal, if not even more spending had started to occur, because people were starting to work from home. They're like, oh, this will work just fine. And they're spending more time at home and they're investing in their home. So we saw a crazy boom through that period, which is quite interesting. And one of the problems, though, that we had kind of after that point was people got that government money to basically stay home and not work. People started to work from home, and they got very comfortable in that situation. And we started finding it really, really difficult, even more than we had previously found it difficult, to find employees to staff the trucks. Mm-hmm. That was one of my greatest pains, I would say, in that particular industry. And I assume that there are a lot of other people that, people that I've talked to and whatnot, have also expressed the same. But yeah, I assume that's always going to be kind of an issue in that space.
Okay. By the way, we don't have a lot of time, so
yeah, sure.
What did you sell the company for, and how did that come about?
I don't want to get too into the details. I was pretty happy for what I sold it for. I wish that I had gotten a bit more. For the last, I'd say probably 3 years, I'd been very close to closing deals on selling the company. And every time we would find someone and it would get, kind of close to signing the deal, something would come up or there wasn't enough money there and, things would fall apart. So who I ended up selling it to was actually one of the gentlemen that's worked for me for about 2 years now. And
That's
two out
usually
of
the
the
best
last,
way to do it.
yeah. So he'd worked for me for 2 out of the last 3 years. And in that 1 year that he wasn't working for me, he was trying it, himself. And I think that he really realized the value of, what an established company, can bring to the table. Um, in 2019, we actually won the Better Business Bureau Torch Award for ethics and trustworthiness. Ethics and what is it called? Yeah, I think it's just ethics and trustworthiness. Anyways, I think that reputation really has a lot of power in closing deals, and that was really like how we wanted to operate it. Like, that's how I wanted to do business in that space because there were
What
so
I'm
many.
sorry, what I'm
Okay.
trying to get to is you ran a successful business, you had a successful exit. Why? I'm wondering why you didn't continue and just start other businesses.
Burnout, just burnout.
Okay.
uh, I ran that company full time for the first year of school while also going to school full time. Um, I was also trying to run it remote because I moved closer to Vancouver Island University, which is north from Victoria.
Hmm.
So it was a lot. I overestimated my ability to be able to manage all those stresses and make all that stuff happen. So
Did you have the right people on staff?
yes and no. Um, the Again, the trouble with that space is finding people that are capable, but not so much so that they just go off and do it themselves. Um, you need to find the right relationship, I think, in a place like that. If you want to be a business owner, hands-off business owner, or not the guy on the tools kind of a thing, at least in that space, you have to find someone who's very good at operating in that space but doesn't excel in the areas that you excel, which is running the business and making sure that it's profitable and all that sort of thing, building the website and generating the leads and that sort of thing. So that was always kind of my greatest difficulty. And the closest I got to getting a really good exit was when I partnered with another exterior cleaning company. But I think, in my opinion, he really failed in his responsibilities there because he was passing it off to another guy. So there's like three middlemen before there was a guy on the roof doing the job. And he was quoting jobs for just crazy sums of money. And so his closing ratio was like less than 5%. And it was
Wow.
brutal. It was a shit deal for me. It was a shit deal for him. Nobody was happy.
You're
But
kind
that's
of
that's
reminding me of a client that I actually met, actually in the same restaurant I just came back from. This was a roofing company. And by the way, we just are in the process of closing two deals, two small companies for 10 million, one for 10 million, one for 12 million. But this other client, when we met him, he actually flew in to meet with me for lunch. And I'm in Toronto, by the way. And he came in and within 10 minutes, I could clearly smell burnout because he was running his roofing business for 24 years at that point. And he kept hitting the $2 million glass ceiling. 1 year he did 2.2. Then most of the time it was between 2 million and 1.8. And every second or third year, he would have to refinance his house, which pissed the hell out of his wife, almost pushing him into divorce. And she came along, she got on the flight and she came along to make sure that the sale was going to happen. Because I suggested, you're burnout. The best thing to do is to sell this company, use that money and start other companies. And he goes, yeah, if you can
yeah,
do that, I'm all aboard. So
yeah,
anyways, we met and I said, we need to stage it because if you sell it the way it is now, you're just selling a job. you're not selling a business, right?
Yeah.
So we staged it, we redesigned it, created aggressive marketing system, blueprints, and differentiation, and so on. Then we started to sell it. We actually contacted some business brokers. We started to list it. Then the company starts moving. We started attracting. The biggest problem he had was he could never attract talent, right? And roofing, it's very dangerous work. He wasn't paying people very much, and there was a revolving door with his people. He had his core group of people that kept producing $2 million, but he couldn't go beyond that, right? And he couldn't motivate them beyond that. So anyways, I became the interim CEO. Within 4 months, we tripled his workforce. Now because each year he was sick and tired of selling the jobs. He was a good closer. He had great credibility. He would sell a lot more work than he could handle.
Sounds like me.
Each December or January, now he's returning deposits. And I go, this is just a mad cycle, right? We got to fix this. Why aren't we working year round? And why aren't we having the crews busy year round? And, being Canada, being the section of the Canada that he is, it gets very cold and very snowy. And he says, well, no, we can't do that. And I said, well, why would you think that? So we started another service with attic insulation. And we found that, 2 men in the truck were producing more profit with 2 guys than the 6 guys were doing with roofing. So, and then all of a sudden he's beyond the 2 million, and this year he's going to do $5 million, and he wants $20 million for the company. And that's not realistic, right? So he no longer wants to sell, right? But clearly there was burnout. But once we fixed the logjam, we fixed the problems he was having, and now it's easier to manage. He loves managing his business now. He no longer wants to sell. So with that example, I'm wondering why you didn't follow the same path, right? Because to me, making other people rich never made sense to me.
Yeah. One of the things that I really like about the web development side of things, and especially, so the customer journey that I built and the software that I built for that business, I think, can apply to a lot of other businesses. So I'm very interested in, moving on from that space to work with, very intelligent people in jobs like web development. You need to go to school, and you don't necessarily need to go to school, but the majority of people are going to go to school. They're going to get an education. So you're working with employees that
sorry, we have 3 minutes, literally.
Yeah. I'll try to make it quick.
But why,
that's
when you're competing with the Philippines,
I
mean, we get websites built, for $200.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. How can you compete with that? How can you make any money on that?
You don't build websites. Building websites is a dime a dozen, and that's exactly the problem. You're going to run into that. I mean, people are building in Canada WordPress websites for like $8,000 a piece. They build it in less than a week and they make $8,000. I'm not interested in that. I will never work with stuff like that. Web applications are different.
But that's for uninformed people who don't know how to build websites.
That's true. Yep. Yeah. Web applications are different. That's where you're working your business flow, your customer journey into one tool with automation and everything catered exactly how you want it. Like that's where that's what I want to work with.
Yeah, but there's software available on the market, Titan, Jobber, and
it's good. It's not as good as what I built.
Oh, yeah? I would like to see it then.
Yeah, and actually the guys that built Jobber, I worked with out of Edmonton there for about 2 years. So before they built Jobber.
Yeah. Okay. So you're doing, it's an operating system then? It takes care of everything from the beginning to end on the client's journey?
Like a CRM is your customer relationship management. This is like the customer journey management system is kind of what I sort of term it.
So it has a drip campaign that asks for leads, and does it ask for video leads, or what type of leads are you getting?
Video leads, sorry?
Yeah, video testimonials.
I mean, I'm just working with my basic website, and those leads that come in through the contact form, it like puts it into the pipeline automatically. It starts sending out emails and text notifications to your cell phones. So you have someone that's in your pipeline. I was calling people back less than 5 minutes after they've put in their request and that sort of thing. And that was a huge part of like the wow factor that actually gets people excited about your company.
Okay.
Yeah, it's it's a tool that allows you to go to the property, capture property information. So not just tying it to the customer, but actually tying it to the property. If they ever sell that property, the next owner, I already have their details and their metrics for how many windows they have, how many square feet of roof they have, how many square feet of driveway they have. And we can start marketing the current pricing for that current year to the physical metrics for that business. So that's what I'm working on right now in the background.
Okay. Does this software help build trusted relationships with future potential clients?
Absolutely. You're eliminating the guesstimation. You take the guesstimation right out of the thing. When someone shows up to your house and they look at your place and it's like, I don't know, $200, it doesn't build any trust or authenticity. You don't know where those numbers came from necessarily. With this tool, someone's going around the property, they're counting up every window pane of a different size, of a different height, and all these different metrics. They're collecting that information and you're getting a very customized quote for that property. It's in an instant. I can give it to people on my payroll without giving them my price sheet. So I can send anybody for $15 an hour. The guy just drives in a truck and he counts this stuff up. And that's all that he does. And he can't go off to his next company and say, here's what that last guy was doing for pricing for all these jobs. So I think it's a really cool and unique tool. I'm really excited about working on it, but that's not going to be ready, anytime in the next, couple months. It's going to be at least a year away.
Oh, I see. Okay. So there's nothing for me to look at then.
Yeah, the best thing I could give you right now is the window cleaning quote tool that I had was using. There's a couple of people that use it now, but it's just kind of a janky little thing, just a proof of concept.
I see. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Let me know when you have it up and running.
Sure.
How soon do you plan to monetize that, and how are you making a living? And by the way, I've had people just join the Zoom call. Let's schedule another call.
Sure.
Let's get a little bit deeper. All
Yeah,
right.
I'd love to.
Enjoy your day. Take care.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye.